All right, so now we're looking at graphing the higher order polynomials. And so this is kind of the guidelines to help you do that. And so I'm going to scroll down a little bit. We should be familiar with this right here. Um, what might look a little different is that you see it says right in behavior. That's synonymous. It's the same thing as saying as basically as x grows to infinity, the left-hand behavior is what happens as y grows to, I'm sorry, as x grows to negative infinity. Um, so the way you do this is you look at the leading coefficient with the highest power, uh, or the term, I'm sorry, you look at the term with the highest power. And so um, if you plug in infinity for x and raise it to the fourth power, your result's also going to go to infinity. So y goes to infinity, or you could say, up. That would be the same thing as saying y goes to infinity. If you plug in negative infinity, you actually get the same result, and that's that's because if you raise it to a fourth power, it's still going to turn to be a positive. A negative to a even power always results as a positive result. Okay, so to figure out where we cross, where we touch, we need to go ahead and find the x-intercepts and then decide the multiplicity. So we're going to go ahead and set this equal to 0. And I notice that right away I can factor out an x squared, so I'll go ahead and do that. That leaves me with x squared minus 6x plus 9 equals 0. And this is a perfect square trinomial, actually. So that factors into x minus 3 squared equals 0. Okay, so these two things are getting multiplied together. So you look at what would make, what squared is 0? Well, that's kind of silly. It's just going to be 0. So that's one of my answers. And then what would make this, squared equal 0? And that would be a positive 3. If you plug in 3 and subtract 3, you'll get a 0. 0 to the second power, 0. 0 times anything is going to be 0. So those are our two x-intercepts. And so they both have a multiplicity of 2. Okay? They both have a multiplicity of 2. And whenever that happens, whenever it's even, it touches and turns around after it touches the x-axis. It's, it takes on the shape of x squared, actually. It's going to look, kind of like that as it hits the x-axis, or it could kind of come up like that, one or the other. It's going to kind of look like that. So crosses, that happens when we're looking at odd multiplicity. So we actually don't have any of that, so won't worry about that. Y-intercept is kind of silly. It's just, it says 0, 0. You plug in 0, it's going to equal 0. Okay. So what we want to do is go ahead and plot the points we found. So we found 0 and we found 3. And I know that as I go to the right, it's going to go up. Now, you don't want to draw a straight line going up. You actually want to go ahead and curve it. Color. Here we go. Try to curve it going up, because what's going to happen is it's actually going to go up here and then go down and then down and then back up. And so it's actually going to, it's going to kind of look like a W, but without sharp turns, okay? And so the same thing's going to happen over here. It's going to kind of be half of a parabola right here. It actually is going to kind of go up like a parabola and then curve and then come back down like that. So what we need to figure out is how high we're going to go there. And so we need to plug in like 1 and 2 to figure that out. So let's see, f of 1 would be 1 to the fourth power minus 6 times 1 to the third power plus 9 times 1 squared. So we're going to end up with 1 minus 6 plus 9. And that comes together, let's see, that'll give us negative 5 plus 9. That gives me a 4. So I'm going to be up here at 4, okay? And then let's see if I can make a little room down here. I'm going to do f of 2 down here, where I got a little bit more room. So let's see, it's going to be 2 to the 4th power minus 6 times 2 to the 3rd power plus 9 times 2 squared. Okay, scroll down so I have enough room to work this out. So let's see, 2 to the 4th power is 16 minus 6 times 8 plus 9 times 4. So let's see, that's going to be 16 minus 48. And then plus 36. Okay. And so 16 take away 48. Let's see, what's that? Negative 32 plus 36. All that work, we actually end up with a 4, just like the other point. Okay. So it's at 4 also. Okay. But be careful. You want to draw that with a curve. Okay. So you don't assume that like it curves up and then goes straight across that. That's not going to be right. You want to remember, no sharp turns. So the way we're going to do this, we're going to have to be kind of careful here by curve up, curve here, and then curve back down. It's not the prettiest one, but anyways, that's what we're looking at. All right, so oops. All right, sorry about that. That was a tornado warning. Okay. So here we go. So here, starting with our end behavior, what they're saying here to the right as x goes to infinity. Well, if you plug in, so that negative gets applied after the cube. And so you cube infinity, you get, whatever infinity, but then the negative comes in, so you're going to go to negative infinity. The left end, so is x, did you plug in negative infinity? What happens is when you cube it, it stays negative, but then you have another negative, so it ends up being double negative, so you go back to being positive, so it's going to be a positive infinity right there. All right, so then now we've got to find our intercepts. So we set it equal to 0, so let's see, negative x cubed minus x squared plus 6x equals 0. And so we'll go ahead and I'm going to factor out a negative x. So we'll pull out negative x, so that'll leave us with positive x squared plus x minus 6 equals 0. And then we can factor this. So we're going to have negative x times x plus 3, x minus 2. Okay. So we have 3 solutions here because you have 3 things getting multiplied together. They all have a multiplicity of 1, so they're all going to cross. So we have 0, negative 3, and positive 2. And they all cross. 3, positive 2. Don't have any that touch and turn around. Y-intercept is kind of boring again. It's just at 0, 0. All right, so we want to go ahead and plot these. So let's see, negative 3, 0, positive 2. Okay, so we know my right end behavior is going down, and this time it's more linear. It doesn't really need to be curved. You just kind of draw like a straight line going down a little bit to the right. And my end behavior to the left is going to be going up. And once again, you just kind of draw a straight line going up and slightly to the left. Now you have to figure out how far do I dip down, how far do I go up as I complete the middle part of the graph. So let's see, I gotta scroll back up a little bit so I can see the function. There we go. So let's see, I'll start with f of negative 2. So f of negative 2 equal to negative 2 cubed minus negative 2 squared plus 6 times negative 2. All right, so right here, that's going to turn into a negative 8 when you cube it. And we're going to have minus, and then negative 2 squared is 4. And then plus 6 times negative 2 is negative 12. All right, so I've got some double negatives right here, so that's going to become positive 8 minus 4, and then this plus negative 12, I can write it as minus 12. All right, so now it's time to combine all this stuff. So 8 take away 4 is, let's see, 4. 4 take away 12 is negative 8. So I'm going to dip down to negative 8. Oops. All right, so then now we'll figure out f of negative 1. All right, so f of negative 1. You're going to have negative and then negative 1 to the third power minus negative 1 squared plus 6 times negative 1. And let's go ahead and work that out. So that you're going to have negative 1 minus 1. And then this will turn into a minus 6. Okay. And let's go down a little bit for a moment. And so that double negative turns to positive 1, minus 1, minus 6. So if you do all that together, you get a negative 6. Down right here at negative 6. The last thing I need to do is f of positive 1. I'm going to scroll back up so I can see my equation. All right, so f of positive 1. We're going to have negative parentheses 1 to the third power minus 1 to the second power plus 6 times 1. So 1 to the third power stays 1. You got that negative though on the outside. Then minus 1 squared is 1. And then you have a plus 6. So when you bring this all together, it comes out to a 4. We'll go up here to 4. Okay, so now it's time to finish my graph. Once again, just be careful. Try to draw it with a curve. Just try not to have a sharp turn. And there we go. You want your turns to be curved, that's all. Okay, so that's for our graphing our polynomials.